Hello everyone and welcome to the video. This video is basically a part 2 to my Immortal Mantis theory video, so I'd recommend watching that first. It'll be linked in the description. In this video, I'm going to specifically be talking about the mysterious character known as Dad, so I'll start with a quick recap of what we know about Dad. The first time we see mention of Dad is in the intro of the game, where Mantis says, "Everything is ready, Dad. We'll be together soon." We then play through the game until the second ending, where we find a drawing that says me plus Dad. And the final time we see Dad is in the second ending, when we see a cutscene of Mantis stabbing himself. A conversation then appears on screen that says, "Hey mister, you have become a great friend. I know it's not true, but would you care if I call you Dad?" And Dad responds with, "Do not be afraid. Yes, you can call me Dad." The cutscene ends, and Dad appears in front of us and says to protect the dagger. But who exactly is Dad? This is a difficult question because we don't have much information to work with. However, I've compiled all the information I could, and I have a few potential theories related to him. We know that Dad and Mantis formed some sort of pact, but that's pretty much the only thing that we know for sure. So to make this simpler, I'm going to split this up into a few separate theories. The first theory is that Mantis met Dad when he was still a child. There's quite a few pieces of evidence pointing towards this. First of all, it's unlikely that Mantis would have asked to call him Dad if he wasn't a kid. Secondly, Mantis calls him Mister, which is usually something a child would do, whereas an adult would be more likely to say something like Sir. And finally, the drawing of me plus Dad looks like a child's drawing. My second theory is that Dad might be some kind of soul. He has a very strange form that no other character has, but he still somewhat resembles a human. Now there's a scarecrow that has a paper that says souls, and the scarecrow gets bloody after Mantis stabs himself. So maybe the paper that says souls was hinting towards the fact that Dad is a soul. My third theory is that Dad can possess things. There are multiple instances of things acting differently than they should. The first instance is with the mannequin in the tool room. When we enter the room, it starts moving towards us, and then we black out and have a memory of the past. When we come back, we see that it's just a mannequin. If Dad was possessing it, that would explain how it was able to move. The second instance is with the scarecrow. The scarecrow looks fine at first, but it becomes bloody after Mantis stabs himself. Perhaps it's because Dad possessed the scarecrow, and he has the pact with Mantis. And the third instance is with Mantis himself. Mantis stabs himself in the gut, but is able to move around just fine afterwards. He's even able to run towards us when we're shooting at him. He shouldn't be able to survive that wound and just be unaffected by it. So my theory is that Mantis died, and then Dad possessed his body. I think Mantis's mind still works, but Dad has possessed his body and it's in his head. Additionally, in the intro to the game, Mantis says, "My new life starts now." That could be hinting towards the fact that he killed himself and was brought back to life when he was possessed by Dad, so it's his new life. My fourth theory is that souls are immortal. If Dad possessing Mantis made him immortal, then that would seem to imply that souls are immortal. Adding on to this, at the end of the game, Mantis says, "He lives in me. Now I'm like one of them. Now I'm immortal." I think he is referring to souls and saying that they are immortal. The use of the word them is very interesting because it implies that there are more things like Dad. It's also interesting that he says he lives in me because that helps with my theory that Dad possessed Mantis's body. My final theory is that Dad has the ability to mess with people's minds. Mantis has a memory from the past right before he sees Dad, and the only other time somebody has a memory is when Akin has a memory of hiding the gun right after the Mantis mannequin moves towards him. If I'm correct about Dad possessing the mannequin, then that means that both memories happened when Dad was nearby. Another way that Dad messes with people's minds is by speaking to them in their head. There are 3 times when we hear a voice speak. The first time is when we get the paper that says, "Free him." The second time is when we are playing as Mantis standing behind the police officer and the voice says, "Kill him." The police officer doesn't react to the voice, which is part of what leads me to believe that Dad is speaking inside of Mantis's mind instead of out loud. And the third time is at the end of the game when Mantis says "immortal." It sounds like the same voice all 3 times, so maybe it was Dad speaking. But that's everything I've got. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you have any thoughts on these theories, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified when I make videos in the future. Also, I've got one last thing that I want to say to BitLife Studios before the video ends. There's no pressure, but if you want to, give me a free Steam key when the sequel comes out, or give me any sort of like details about the sequel that aren't big spoilers, but that I could make a video about, or have me playtest the game at some point before it's released. Although I heard you might release it as a demo on itch.io, so there's also that. And I will definitely play it if you do that. But either way, if you want to do like any of those things, then once again, there's no pressure at all, but you're free to do any of those if you want to. Either way, I'm really excited for the sequel. And with that aside, that's everything I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.